I'm having issues playing the game, quote unquote, at work. I'm quiet and friendly, but I prefer to work hard rather than stand out and talk. I found I have trouble forming more personal connections with my boss and coworkers. What are your tips?
So look, when I talk about playing the game, I'm not talking about the fact that you have to change your entire personality profile to start to connect with people. That's not what I'm saying. You don't have to go from being someone that's, what they say, quiet and friendly, to, you don't have to become some chatty extrovert running around making small talk with anybody. And on top of that, there's a little bit of a statement here that says, you know, I'd rather work hard, as if these are mutually exclusive things, which they are certainly not. This forming relationships with people and playing the game does not interfere with your work at all. I'm not saying that you sit around and talk when there's work to be done. There's going to be natural breaks in whatever you're doing. There's going to be moments where the action pauses and you get a chance to connect with somebody. So that's fine. So what are some tips how would you do this? So I thought about this. You want to start with something small, right? But you want to engage. This is the key point. I don't just want to throw something at you. I don't want to talk at you. And besides, when it's much easier just to let someone talk about themselves. So what my advice in this particular question is to tell them something about yourself, like something minor about yourself, but then that kind of ties into something that you can ask them. And then they can talk to you, because most people like to talk about themselves. So you ask them a question about themselves, and then you go, so, you know, something maybe something slightly related to work, so it's not just some random statement that you're making. You know, you'd say, you know what, we did it yesterday at work here, reminded me of something, right? It's reminded me of something else. And then maybe it reminded me of a movie. Hey, you know what we were doing yesterday? It reminded me of this movie. Have you seen that movie? And at least you're going to get, well, no, because I don't watch a lot of movies. Or no, I haven't seen that movie. Or, oh, I've seen that movie. If it's a popular movie, but chances are they've seen it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And all of a sudden you've got a little bit of a conversation going. And that's all we're looking for. We're not looking to turn into like chatty catty. We're just trying to build relationships with people. So you know who they are. So that they know who you are. That's what we're talking about. Nothing crazy. Start small, build from there. Yeah. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and through that building process, what I kind of found is and I guess maybe this is a little tactical thing you can kind of throw out whenever, but when people give you advice or they tell you something about themselves, that's something, I don't know, whatever the story is, right? And maybe some strategy they use to do X, Y, Z, it can be super small. If you let them know that you remembered, like in the future, later on when you see them again, you say, I remembered what you said last week, just tie it in this. Yeah. And just say,
you, almost Charles.
And it can be the smallest
up to that purple belt, jiu-jitsu, mental jiu-jitsu. I like it.
It can be the smallest thing. And it just makes you feel good. So that person will just essentially feel more open with you. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of like a little mentor.
This guy really pays attention to me.
Oh yeah. Makes him feel valuable, all that stuff, just on that small level, So as far as building little relationships, I'd say that's a cool thing to kind of remember to do if you can.
I'd say that's a cool kind of thing to remember too.
All right. There you go. There you go. Approved.
Nicely
Next
done.
question. JOCKO. May I ask your advice for addressing a cowboy, quote unquote, mentality among teams working in dangerous environments? How would you shift a culture to kill complacency, to aggressively identify and mitigate risk as a point of professional pride?
Okay. This is something that we'll definitely saw it in the SEAL teams, see it all the time in the civilian sector, construction companies, power companies where people are doing dangerous work, right? Policing, firefighting, anything that has any element of danger, you definitely see this, and like I said, certainly saw in the SEAL teams. And the answer to this is a common answer for many leadership situations, is you have to explain why. So let me put it in a little context. What you have to do is you have to say, hey, let me explain to you what happens when someone gets hurt or injured on this job. Okay, first of all, we get the loss of that person on the job. The job that we're working on, the project that we're working on, it falls back. There's paperwork that has to be filed, which, by the way, the paperwork hurts the progress of our project as well. Our budget's impacted because now we got to bring someone else on board. We got to train them. We take a reputational hit as a company. What kind of a company can't do a job without getting someone hurt, right? I mean, this isn't a high bar. It's not a very high bar to say, hey, can you complete this task without getting someone injured? And all of a sudden we got, hey, you know what, our company, we get a lot of people hurt. Well, what does that tell you about the company? It's a reputational hit. Who are you going to hire? You're not going to hire the one that's got people getting hurt all the time. So there's that. And what does that do? What does that do to your reputation in terms of everything else? Because if you're getting a bunch of people hurt, how can I expect you to keep your timelines? How can I expect you to stay on budget? It's those things. It's that kind of reputation that you get if you are getting people hurt. And then also, what does it do? What does it say about your team if you got people getting hurt? And again, this is what I'm talking about is a conversation that you're having with the group, with the team. You're saying, look, what kind of a team are we if we got people getting hurt? What does that say about us? It says we're lackadaisical. It says we're complacent. It says we don't pay attention. What does it say about our leadership? If we got guys getting hurt, what does that say about our leadership? It says we don't care about our people. Which, by the way, says we don't care about our people. It says we don't care about our job. It says we don't care about our reputation. It says we just don't damn care. And what does it say about you, the individual? You know what it says about you, an individual? If you get hurt, you know what it says about you? You're a knucklehead and you got hurt. You couldn't follow the procedures. You didn't follow the procedures. You thought you were smart and you got complacent and now you got hurt. So these are the things. When I talk about explaining why, those are where I'm going to start. And now I'm going to explain and connect the dots so that the individual see that someone getting hurt is actually the least professional thing that you can do. From a leadership perspective, if I let one of my guys get hurt, that's just the least professional thing I can do. From an individual contributor perspective, if I'm getting hurt, guess what? I didn't follow procedures. Okay, look, are there accidents that happened? Yes, there are. But what I'm saying is if you get an accident that could have been prevented, that should have been prevented, and I, as an individual, let it happen, that is absolutely my fault. It's like when you got a guy getting ready for an MMA fight and they get cut. They weren't wearing headgear. And it's like, look, I get it, but that was dumb. And I've had that happen. I mean, I've had it happen with my fighters. I've seen it happen all kinds. It happens in the UFC all the time, right? You got a fight coming up. You're going to fight for the title, for the UFC title. You're going to make possibly millions of dollars. You're going to be the champion of the world. Oh, 2 weeks out, got a cut. Got a cut on my head. Blew out my ACL doing takedown defense, right? Look, I get it. Accidents happen, but what was really happening right at that moment? Was it a random accident or were we doing something that we shouldn't have been doing? So if we start to lean towards, look, having accidents is actually an unprofessional thing to do. It's a weak thing to do. It's a bad thing to do. When we let it happen, it hurts everyone, not just the individual involved. That's the attitude that we kind of come with. I had the